Guys, Crystal here from ChristaCoDesign. Today I am going to work up the Sheila Cowl for you, and I am using some super bulky number 6 yarn. This one is Line Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, and my 10mm crochet hook. This is my Furls Ebony, and let me pull out a length here. We're going to start by chaining 19. So I'll start with a slip knot on my hook. And then I'm going to chain 19. My stitch multiple is 3 plus 5 for the foundation. So if I wanted to increase, I would add I would add 3 chains. If I wanted to make it narrower, less wide, I would take away in 3s. So if my starting chain is 19 and I wanted to add 3 to make it a little wider, I would make it, what's that, 22? Or 25. I chain 19. I am going to V-stitch in the 5th chain from my hook. So counting here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to flip it over and go into the back bump of that. Still skipping the 5. Those are going to count as our first double crochet, and I'm going to V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in that same 5th chain. So here now we have what looks like a double crochet and our first V-stitch. Next, we are going to skip the next 2 chains, and again, I'm working into the back, so I'm skipping these 2 bumps, and then in this one, I am going to V-stitch again, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and I'm just going to keep repeating that across, skipping 2 chains, and V-stitching in the next chain. 1, 2, V-stitch here. Skipping 1, 2, V-stitch into here. All right, and then when I get to my last 2 chains, I am going to skip the next one, and I'm just going to double crochet in my last chain. Skip this one, double crochet in the last one. And then I'll be ready to turn my work. All right, so when I turn my work to work row 2, I have 17 stitches across. This is my V-stitch here, and then these are my skipped chains. So we're going to work into the top of this stitch, which I'll mark for you, as a double crochet. All right, row 2, chain 3 or your favorite alternative, which for me is this one. Gives me a nice sturdy double crochet stitch. Then I'm going to skip this double crochet, and I'm going to work into the chain space here of the V-stitch. And for these, I'm doing 2 double crochets. 1, 2, 1 chain, and then 2 more double crochets, all into the same space. Then we are going to skip the next 2 double crochets, so this one, and work into that chain space. We're just going to keep doing the same thing across. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, all in that chain one space from the previous row across. All right, so that gives us all of our double V stitches, our 2 DCs, chain 1, 2 DCs all in one. And then we need to work 1 double crochet into that last stitch or the top of the chain there from our first skip stitches, which is why I marked it. So I'm just gonna work our double crochet and then we will turn on to row 3. There we go. That's row 2. All right, for row 3, we're gonna do chain 3 or your alternative there. Then we're gonna skip the first 2 double crochets and we're gonna V-stitch into the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then we're gonna continue that way across, skipping the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and working into the chain 1. Okay, when we get to the end of the row there, when we have V-stitched into our last double V-stitch here, our last chain space, we're going to skip the next 2 double crochets and then we're going to DC into the last stitch, or if you chained 3, the top of the 3rd chain. There we go, and return our work. You can see there we've got row 1, row 2, and row 3. And then we will just keep repeating row 2 and row 3 throughout the pattern until we've used up all of our yarn. We've got as long as we want. Mine finished up at 10 by 20 inches. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to seam it and finish it up. I have just finished up my Sheila Cowl, at least the rectangle, and I'm going to show you how to fold it for seaming. So I have my last row here, and it is the row that I finished with 27 stitches with my double V stitches in it, and my first row, my foundation chain here. So I'm going to fold it in half with the short ends touching. Row 1, last row. Okay, then I'm going to grab both corners and I'm grabbing, both ends of the fabric and I'm going to fold them toward the center like that. Now if you pinch it and hold it and look at it here, you can see you've got all your layers there. So what we're going to do is just sew through all of this, all of it. Just going to seam it across here, but making sure to pick up all the layers. So I'm going to set that down for a minute, get my large yarn needle. Okay, so again, finding my center here and folding toward the middle. You know what, I'm going to actually grab another yarn needle and go ahead and secure that first corner to the center with my tail from my first one. So I'm going to go through that layer and this layer and then these back two here, and that will help keep it in the center. You can use a pen or anything. And when you sew, just make sure to get through all 4 layers. I'm just going to hold that there for a minute. So that's folded to the middle. Now this side gets folded to the middle. Making sure to get all 4 layers. There. Just going under the 2 loops and then lining up the next stitches and going under those. Now, since we have different stitch counts, there's some space here, so that's one reason why I folded the first row in with the larger last row going around it. So you might have to pull it a little to get it to work, and that's fine too. I think I'm skipping a stitch there, so I'm going to come back through that way. Make sure I have it secure. Okay, and I'm just going to flip this around a little bit and keep working back this way. If I want to go back through again to make sure I got everything, I can, or I'm just going to thread my yarn through to pick up on this other side so I don't have to cut and start a new one. Get this guy out of the way. There we go. 1, 2. So right here. Okay, so I've sewn across here, and I'll cut and weave away my ends there in a minute, but I'm going to show you how. Now, if we turn it where the seam is in the center, now you can just kind of squish those pieces in, that seam in, pushing it down with my fingers there. Squish it around and weave these ends away. There you go. Your button here right where the seam is joined and have a nice. Another alternative is to flip your cowl right side out. So there you have the seam there. It's just giving it a bit of a gathered seam, and then when you wear it, it really squishes down since it's a bit of a taller cowl. So then you can sew on a button if you like, or leave it like this even.